War history is full of stories about weapons designed to be flawless, precise, and unbeatable, but sometimes it is the flawed creations that leave the most unforgettable legacy. And in today's video we are going to explore one of the most infamous examples of flawed artillery gun that, despite its many weaknesses, became the enemy's worst nightmare. At first glance, this weapon seemed like a failure of engineering. It jammed frequently. Its accuracy was questionable, and its complex design often frustrated the very soldiers who had to operate it. But paradoxically, these very flaws turned it into a tool of chaos that struck fear into the battlefield. When the gun fired, nobody was ever completely sure what would happen. The unpredictable recoil, the unstable trajectory, and the terrifying explosions that sometimes landed short all along made it feel less like a calculated weapon and more like a force of nature. For the enemy, this meant facing not just the shelling itself, but the constant psychological dread of never knowing where the next round would land. In countless battles, soldiers described how hearing its distinct firing sound instantly triggered panic. Because unlike other artillery that followed predictable patterns, this one was wildly erratic. Interestingly, the flaws were not always a disadvantage for the side using it. Commanders learned that unpredictability could be a form of psychological warfare, and the very inaccuracy of the gun created zones of terror where no one felt safe. Historical reports show that troops under fire from this artillery often hesitated to move or advance, unsure if they were stepping into the line of its chaotic blasts. Engineers had originally hoped to refine and correct its defects, but in practice, soldiers came to accept the weapon for what it was: unreliable but devastating, flawed yet unforgettable. Over time, myths and legends began to grow around it, with soldiers telling stories of impossible shots that somehow hit their mark, or shells that ricocheted unpredictably into enemy positions with devastating effect. It is fascinating to see how human psychology magnified the reputation of this artillery. What was supposed to be a weakness, mechanical unreliability, became transformed into an aura of menace, because fear does not always come from precision. It often comes from uncertainty. For those who faced it on the front lines, this artillery gun